Single-player games are often packed with content. A lot of the time, they feel like they have to justify the price tag by giving you more. But in truth, that doesn't really justify the price tag. A lot of that more is stuff you don't want to bother with, and it kind of gets just left in the dust as you do the stuff that's fun, if possible anyway. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanks, 10 things you just leave unfinished in single-player games. Let's start off with number 10, side quests. And I don't mean all of them. Obviously, there are games with very good side quests, but let's entertain this scenario. You're walking along the path, minding your own business, and then some desperate NPC runs up to you.
Bandits kidnapped my baby. Please help me. If you help me, I shall reward you with 400 coins. I have 400 coins.
Sir, this is Tony Hawk's Underground, and I am trying to do a McTwist over the helicopter in Hawaii. Thank you very much. I do not need 400 coins.
I am also dying of the superflu and need 100 herbs. You can collect 50 of them on this side of that wall that comes down when you do a 1080 McLovin off of a kickflip. But you have to get to the other side of that wall to get all of the herbs.
I'm sorry, I'm just playing up how absurd side quests can be. I should probably get back to talking about them. Anyway, you skip through all that stupid dialogue and find the fastest way to accept the request, because it's the only way to end that conversation. And sometimes you're like, yeah, sure, I'll help that guy out. He's got the super flu and something was kidnapped. I don't know, that was a long time ago. He talked a lot. And then you go collect the herbs and then...
This is just what I need.
It turns into, it's not just the herbs, you also need another ingredient. And then 5 ingredients later, you need to get like a cauldron to make it all into a soup or some crap. But wait, the bandits that kidnapped whoever are also the ones with the cauldron. So you have to do all of the kidnapping quest line thing. There's a lot. There's a lot. So you have this in addition to all of your actual real quests that progress the story and matter. And then there's also the side quests that don't suck. So you end up getting wrapped up in something else and you forget. Here's the thing. Most people just don't bother with side quests. I mean, hell, 14% of players have completed even 10 quests in Skyrim Special Edition. That means 86% of players never even bothered with most of the quests. Forget side quests, quests in the game. There's over 700 of them. So most people who've played Skyrim are barely scratching the surface. That's a lot of broken lives with, super flu and kidnapped children or whatever. Like, maybe if these NPCs were a little more proactive, they wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. Think about it. Maybe don't hang around bandits if you've got a baby. You never know what bandits are gonna do. Also, stop talking like that. Like, they get actors who try to add flavor to these side characters, and it's always just too much. Obviously, there are exceptions. Technically, the entire Bloody Baron thing in The Witcher is a side quest, and it feels as important, if not more important, than the main quest in that game. But games that actually get it in that way, like on that level especially, do not come around often. Most of the time, side quests are basic throwaway stuff that they try to guilt you into doing with some crazy, sob story. It's just stupid. I hate them. I don't bother with them.
The Feylands are such fertile ground for games. The inhabitants are so oafish you can fill your pockets with hardly any effort. Are you going to give us what's rightfully ours, or do we need to start a new game?
And number 9 is optional bosses. In a lot of Souls-likes, there are extra bosses, and they are, in fact, the reward. They're the reason you're playing the game. But sometimes, I can't be bothered. You know how it goes. Sometimes you wander down some path, and you run into a boss, and you just turn around. Yeah, I don't have the patience for this right now. There's other things I want to do in the game, etc., etc. This can be a problem in Souls-likes where bosses are considered like the candy part. But it's especially bad when you're not playing a Souls-like and random boss pops up and you don't want to engage with it. I don't have to fight it right now. Most of the time, rewards are barely worth the effort, so why bother, right? A lot of the best fights in particularly Souls-likes, but Metroidvanias and stuff like that, they're optional. But there comes a time when you're just kind of like, all right, I want to get to the next part of the game. Like, there are things that happen in games that carry some sort of narrative weight that, you want to get to. And let's face it, the Moss Golem is not going to be super different from the sand golem, right? He's going to be weak to something different, sure. But it's not always exactly inspired, let's say. Even for the most dedicated Souls player, there comes a time when the answer is just no more. It's optional. It doesn't matter at all. So if you leave it unfinished, and hell, you can lie about it. No one has to know the terrible truth that you skipped a boss in a Souls game or any game. And number 8 is the collectibles. So many games tease us with a completion challenge. We're aware at pretty much all times just how little of the actual game we've completed. Very few people get 100%. Most people just don't try. I don't. It's tedious as hell and takes forever to do, and usually you have to do a bunch of stuff that sucks. There's a reason not too many people make collectathon platformers anymore, and it's because the collectible thing has basically been used and abused by every genre in order to pad out the achievements.
Must serve some purpose.
It's a mechanic that has been run into the ground for what I would call unsavory purposes, laziness particular. One of the 7 deadly sins is sloth, and I swear to God, the fact I can't 100% Assassin's Creed without filling up Ezio's little brother's box with feathers or whatever. There's like 100 of them. They're scattered all over the place. You want to know how little I need feathers to be an assassin? Am I saying it's impossible to kill somebody with a feather? No. I think probably some enterprising assassin who's extra clever can probably do that somewhere in the world, but Assassin's Creed is not one of those places. I'm trying to be an assassin here. Why are you asking me for 100 feathers? What is that? Imagine if somebody did that in real life, went up to somebody cold-hearted enough to be part of a killing organization and be like, hey, can you give me a bunch of feathers, please? In video games, we just take being a kleptomaniac hoarder for granted, picking up every coin we see and adding it to the treasure hoard. And like I said, collectathons were a genre of games that were all about that, but it's just not fun anymore as a full game concept when you're asked to go out and get 900 Korok seeds or whatever. A rare few are mad as a hatter and actually try to get everything in these games. You really have to be when you basically get nothing for your efforts. You do the Korok one, you get like a golden turd. And I'm not joking, it is a golden turd. But at least those games kind of acknowledge how unlikely it is to get all that stuff by not hiding something serious behind it. But then there's Batman Arkham Knight, which doesn't let you get the actual ending of the game until you get all 243 Riddler trophies, on top of everything else in the game. You're supposed to be Batman, the Caped Crusader, the Iron Vengeance guy. But by the end of the game, you're wandering around like one of those guys that's really into geocaches. Like, you ever seen those guys? They're not very Batman-like. The vast majority of people never actually do all this stuff. As much as that completion percentage bothers the OCD gamer mind, actually taking the time to get everything is so boring and tedious. Only the most determined with the least amount of things to do in real life are willing to do it. And number 7 is your house. You know how it goes. You're playing a game, you unlock a house or a settlement or whatever. You get a building ability, right? Maybe it's a survival game. You can build stuff by default. Doesn't really matter how it starts, but always ends the same way. You go in with good intentions. You're going to clean up the farm, rebuild a settlement, recruit all the NPCs and whatnot. This game's going to be different. I'm not going to neglect this place. In fact, I'm going to make it fancy. I'm going to build the ultimate house. It's going to be awesome. And then you spend a few minutes on it and you're like, this isn't really why I bought this game, is it? This is a first-person shooter. Why am I doing this? So, yeah, instead of the opulent mansion you wanted, the rest of the game you're kind of running back to your pathetic little one-room shack that has a treasure chest in it to dump off your excess inventory. Because that's the only way to actually keep it safe. It's got to be inside some walls, right? Like, I'm not saying building in games can't be satisfying. It can. There are certain games that actually feel good to do this in, despite the fact that there's the whole rest of the game there for you to do. But a lot of the time, it's a really time-consuming distraction that it's not really that worthwhile. Depending on what kind of player you are, you may not have the patience or creative drive to spend time building a proper settlement, and you literally do what the game requires you to do before you can stop messing with that mechanic. And number 6, and this is going to sound unnecessarily general, but you'll get it by the end. Anything where you actually have to think. For those of us who are doing side quests, sometimes you reach a point where they're a bridge too far, and this is that point. When a game doesn't just rotely tell you where to go and what to do, it makes you think and engage in a way that isn't really worth it for what you're doing. And sometimes you turn on a game that's not about thinking, and they give you like a murder mystery to solve, like when you should be out clearing outposts or some shit. And the thing is, you find out who the killer is and you stop them, and what effect does it have on anything? Nothing. Like you got some item or something, maybe.
Hey, feel like solving a murder? I'm the marshal around these parts. One of these gutter quadruplets pulled the trigger on that boy over there. Consider yourself deputized.
There are a lot of games that I play where the main quest line does actually involve thinking, but there are stakes and reasons why that thinking is satisfying to do because it brings you to your objective and rewards you. And then, of course, there's a lot of games that I am playing not to think at all. But, I don't want to, solve some random's incredibly complicated problems for no real reward. I just don't want to. Which of these 4 guys is telling the truth and which is lying? Well, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, it's that guy. Sorry, if you're innocent, you're going to jail. I'm moving on. That's just what happens when you ask some random off the street to deal with your life and death dilemma, NPCs. Sure, it's fun sometimes. I mentioned the Bloody Baron side quest in a different example for a different reason. This has elements of that type of quest in it, and it's amazingly rewarding to complete, particularly from a narrative perspective, which normally side quests are not like that. But again, there's a reason why everyone points at the Bloody Baron as an incredible example of a side quest. It's because there are almost no other ones that are at that level in any game. And number 5 is relationship values. You know how in a lot of RPGs, there's always some kind of measurement of how much your party members like you. Like in Dragon Age and Fallout, you have the sort of approval ratings. In Persona, you have the social links. For the social butterfly gamer, these things are something to eat up like catnip. But for a lot of other gamers, the relationship building stuff gets in the way of what we're actually here to do, which is bonk monsters on the head with swords. I'll admit that the Persona social link stuff, I think, is the exception that really gets me involved. I like how you get new moves and stuff for doing it, and often it does change the narrative, even in like Fallout and stuff. But I totally get why people don't do it. I don't do it in most other games. Often I ignore personal quests like the plague. I'm just not interested unless they really made a good character and whatever they have going on is actually genuinely interesting. I'm not generally going to do these things. What I hate though is when you do that and it leaves like somebody sidelined for the rest of the game. Man, I sure hope none of this matters in the end, right? Boy, that would suck if in the last 5 minutes of the game, my entire party turns out to hate my guts and not want to do anything with me. That wouldn't be a fun surprise. Oh yeah, that actually happens in Neverwinter Nights, by the way. Half your party will turn on you if your relationship with them isn't good enough. There's just no time for personal quests in Mass Effect 2. You gotta do the suicide mission as soon as possible. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, that's right. Tally just melted in a pipe. My bad. Building relationships in RPGs is one of those things you're either 100% into or don't care about at all. I generally like it when it's just built into the story and happens. Like, I don't have to make it happen. It doesn't divert me away from the main quest to develop the relationships between the various characters in my party. I'm not saying there's no game that does this that I don't like. I mentioned Persona. But even with that, it's an exercise in optimization. You really have to go way out of your way to max out all the social links. I generally just go for the social links that are with the most interesting characters and get me the best moves that I'll actually use in my party. Like, building relationships in RPGs, in my opinion, should just happen, narratively speaking. And giving you a penalty because you didn't want to bother with it kind of sucks when it comes back and bites you in the butt. And number 4, the main quest. I'm going to bring up the damn Bloody Baron again, all right? So Triss is waiting to meet you in Novigrad, right? That's what you're supposed to do. But damn if Phil Margera in a medieval red coat isn't more interesting. Legitimately, the Bloody Baron is such a good side quest. It feels like it is absolutely necessary, more than anything else you're doing at the moment. And that includes all the main stuff in the game. It's such a complex set of relationships that you don't really know what the good thing to do is. And it has you doing such weird crap. It's, of course, not like the only example. Like Nakamura might be waiting for you at dinner, and maybe the gang's patiently waiting for Arthur to come back after wandering off at the second chapter 2 started. I don't know. Depending on what type of game we're talking about here, the main quest can get neglected. Take any open world game, like with sandbox elements. For most players, the story of a GTA game ends the second you're done with the tutorial. I'm not saying that this is me. I have most certainly gotten CJ's brother out of prison every time I played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. But I know what Grand Theft Auto is, and I completely get it when people don't. Like, does John Marston really ever need to reunite with his family? I don't know. That ends everything, so maybe not. Does Ezio need to form that brotherhood? You get through the opening section, and the story is just in eternal stasis from that point forward. You screw around in the open world, you cause chaos, clear out a few camps, and then put the game away. If a game's got a compelling enough open world, it's just more fun to screw around and do side stuff. Like I said earlier, 14% of Skyrim users ever complete more than 10 quests. There's a reason for that. Even when the story's good, sometimes you just want to play cowboy for a few minutes and shut the game off. And number 3 is bonus dungeons. I've almost beaten the game. Now I just want to wander around the map, see what I missed. Oh, what's this? A 100-floor dungeon filled with enemies harder, and the last boss takes 4 hours to beat? How many save points are there? Oh, none, you say? If I die, I have to restart the whole thing? Yeah, screw that tower in Breath of the Wild. Screw it. Just absolutely screw it. I've tried, and then I've died. And then after I lose enough of that progress, I'm done. Sure, hardest challenge in the game. My reward might be bragging rights or the ultimate sword or whatever. The game's already beaten. I'm already done with the game. Most of the time, the bonus dungeons aren't even fun. A lot of the time, they're just artlessly inserted into re-released games to put another bullet point on the back cover. They're not fun. They just reuse assets from the rest of the game. There's nothing new or interesting to find. They're extremely long, they're tedious, and they add basically nothing to the experience, but make it longer. It's not always the case, of course, but there's no Bloody Baron of the bonus tower with 100 floors, all right? It's never that good. I'm not wasting 15 extra hours playing boring content in the game. I've got a game for every floor in the tower in my backlog to at least try. And number 2 is the DLC. Most people don't buy the DLC for games, right? Look at the completion rates of DLC-only achievements in most games. It's usually close to 0. I played the Bolt Gun DLC recently, and the amount of people getting achievements in the expansion was like 0.05%. That's 1/20th of 1%. Also, yeah, I do buy DLCs, but if you're anything like me, you're like, that's a good game. I'll get around to that. And then you don't. You get distracted by something else, and you forget about it. Or maybe you do the start of the DLC, realize you're underleveled, underprepared, you start the game over, and you lose interest because you just played the rest of the game over again to do better at the DLC, and it was not something you really wanted to do, but you did it for the DLC, and then by the time you got to the DLC, it's just like, this isn't worth it. Sometimes just starting the DLC is a pain. You got to get halfway through the game, complete this obscure side quest, and it's already failed when you load up your save because you already got too far. So you got to look up how to even start the damn thing, like in Bloodborne, where the only way to start the DLC was to get grabbed by an invisible hand at a random spot. Like, there were people that complained about the Elden Ring DLC starting point. Sorry, try the Bloodborne one. And I'm going to mention a different quest from Witcher 3 now. Blood and Wine just lets you jump into the new stuff. It's basically a separate game. I mean, they set your level at a certain point and give you specific equipment, but thing is, if you want Ciri to be queen, you're going to have to play the whole game over and then play the DLC. But still, you can play the DLC. But I'll tell you this, what's probably the worst is when you've set a game aside because it's done and over with, and you kind of lose your edge, forget how to play it a little bit, then you buy the DLC and jump back into it, and the game expects you to have been an expert all along and you feel like you have no idea what you're doing, there's a lot of barriers that keep people from playing and completing single-player DLC. I can't blame someone for just giving up and not bothering, and I think I've just explained to you the entire reason why we never got any Grand Theft Auto 5 DLC. Like, are people going to buy it if they're not really going to play it? I would guess a lot of people might answer no, but they will play Grand Theft Auto Online. Gotta get those shark cards, man. Sad but true. And finally, at number 1, the true secret ending. What do you mean you didn't get the secret ending? All you have to do is beat the game, then complete this obscure side quest and go back to this hidden area and pick all the right dialogue options, and don't forget to eat the umbilical cords while rejecting the giant wish granter. That was a mouthful. Most of the time getting the secret ending is a huge pain in the ass. It's just not worth the extra effort. Usually all you get for your trouble is 7 extra seconds of cutscene tacked on the end for a sequel hook that's never going to get followed up on anyway. Sure, some games have secret endings that are pretty easy to suss out. By today's standards, the secret of Symphony of the Night is pretty not secret. But so many games have obscure, nearly impossible to find hidden endings that no human being in their right minds would ever discover them on their own without some kind of guide. Those are the ones most of us just don't bother with. They force you to beat the game on the hardest difficulty with no auto-saving, collect all the perfect speedrunning relics, and, stuff is theoretically possible for a human being to do, but it's very hard for me to. You gotta press a button in the middle of a cutscene you didn't know about. And that didn't happen anywhere else in the game, so thanks for that. Secret endings can be some real BS, and I don't blame anyone for ignoring them. You beat the game once, you got an ending. That's basically what people want. Like, finishing the game at all is an accomplishment. Just give me the trophy for that, even if it's just a participation trophy. Let's wrap this thing up, all right? Let's wrap it up. I'm not wrapping it up, by the way. I have a bonus for you. Mahjong, otherwise known as a minigame where 100% runs go to die. Some Yakuza games want you to get a high score in Mahjong to finish them, but I do not know how to play Mahjong. I've learned how to play Mahjong countless times. I don't understand it. It doesn't stay with me. And this is where I draw the line. I'm not gonna do this. I get the basic idea. It's like poker. You're building hands. I don't understand how the scoring works. Might as well be theoretical physics. I am not doing a doctoral thesis to get to the end of a Yakuza game. Sorry. I'll take any other obscure Japanese board game. Shogi, more like easy. Koi Koi, Silo, Oichikabu, all that stuff, it's nothing. Mahjong, it's impenetrable. Unless you are a Midwestern grandma, and I am not. I don't understand why they get it, by the way. Why did they get it? It's a hyper-specific issue, but there's so many Yakuza games that they're basically a genre all to themselves, and so many of these things come out a year that they can easily dominate the single-player game time, especially if you're one of those lunatics who want to 100% all of it. My advice, do Mahjong first, because it's what separates the standard completionists from the degenerate psychos willing to put themselves through the torture of not just trying to win, but understanding Mahjong. That's all I've got for you today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.